Hi, welcome back to Wildcard FPL. It's game week 10, and the big question this week is captaincy. Who are you going to choose? Are you going to make the same mistakes as managers last week? We're going to get right into it after our scores from the weekend. John, how did you get on this weekend?
I had a pretty okay week. I could have done better since I wildcarded, but I got a 91, which is nothing to be upset about, especially since I had Louise on the bench with 15. So that was me. Too good and too bad for my team. Sibicas, I think quite a lot of people got him in. I have to admit, I was mostly going off your guys' recommendations, but clean sheet for Liverpool, so that gamble paid off. And then I went for Van de Ven from the Spurs defence over Romero and Udogie, who was subbed off, so I got some clean sheet points there. Bad, Odegaard, watched him play the last few games, been a bit absent, and for some reason I decided to get him in anyway instead of Saka or literally any other player. The real stinker, Douglas Luiz. I thought Villa would play well. I kind of just decided to hedge my bets at the last minute and play Odegaard instead. Scored a nice 15 points, that I didn't get, so that was my week in a nutshell.
Big scores. Alf, what about you? How did you get on this weekend?
Yeah, absolute banger game week. I got 101 points. I've gone up rank by 1 million slots, which is fantastic. So I now sit just over 500,000. So yeah, very excited, and I got my wild card to go. So feeling good this side. From a good standpoint, Gordon, I've been talking about Gordon for some time now, particularly since Harvey Barnes got injured. He's nailed for Newcastle, and he's finally started to pay off. Really good to see, especially after the suspension from the last game week. Comes back, scores a goal, and doesn't get a yellow card. Incredible. Son, really happy that I kept him. Fortunately, I have Son and Maddison, but Son just seems to get a couple more points over Maddison. So happy that I have him in my team. Bad, it's got to be Udogie. I have him. He came off 55 minutes. I swear Postecoglou's in like a mini league. There's no reason for it. Someone tell me why he did that at 55 minutes. I would have got clean sheet points if Udogie'd stayed on the pitch for 5 minutes later. So I feel the Udogie pain. And then I'm going to say Haaland. I was repping him for the Brighton game at home. He did well, and actually, 16 points all in isn't a bad captain score, but just given that I have Salah and he outscored him is just a little bit disappointing. It didn't hurt me too much because I had some really good scores across the board. So I'm not upset this week, which is a good positive, and feeling good about the game week as a whole.
Very good. And Steve, even more positive news from you, I think.
Well, I got the same score. I got 101 points, but it was an overall rank increase of 2.1 million places. My two good, definitely Salah. I'm in the no Haaland camp. So I had Salah as captain from way early in the week. 16 points and then doubled to 32. I think he got a bit lucky because it was looking pretty shaky for a while. I don't like early kickoff captains, and it was looking like a curse is going to come back to haunt me, but fortunately he squeezed in a couple of goals. My other good was Ollie Watkins. It's a shame because he could have had more actually, but yeah, he looks on fire at the moment. The goal that he scored was absolutely outrageous. What an amazing finish right into the top corner. Yeah, really happy with him. My two bads were, I was really disappointed with Turner playing Luton in what looked like a prime fixture for a clean sheet, and Forest really blew it there. My other bad would definitely have to be Diaby. He's a Villa player, so he's got some good fixtures coming up, but he wasn't really involved in much of the play. 2 points, didn't really do much considering how well Villa played in the whole match. It was my disappointment.
Awesome. And that just leaves me. This week I got 111. Very pleased with my game week score. Game week rank of 19,000. I almost had a return from every player on the pitch this week, which I was very pleased with. My two good are Mbomo and Wissa. I've always been a firm supporter of the Brentford boys. Let the record state, I've always believed in them. But no, jokes aside, Wissa finally got a goal. He's had 2 returns in 2 weeks, which is good because I've had him for 9. So it's good that he's done something. And Bomo got a goal and an assist to get 14 on the day, which was also good. I'm not sure how long they're going to stay in my team, but I'm glad they had a good final outing potentially. Bad for me would just be Cash and Foden, only because they got 2 points. Aston Villa unfortunately let in a goal against West Ham. It could have been a 4-0 to them, and another clean sheet point for Cash, but that didn't happen. Foden, I was in two minds before the game about who to play. I ended up not playing Alvarez because the news coming out was it was potentially him not starting. It was going to be Foden or Alvarez. I went with Foden in the end. Alvarez played, scored within the first 3 seconds or something. So that was a bad decision on my part. Foden just not getting anything in that game. It was all down to Haaland and Alvarez, but they were the only two on my team. Otherwise, pretty good week all round. So the big question on everyone's minds this week is who is the person to choose for the captain's armband? There's a lot of decisions to make. Salah, Watkins, Son, Haaland and Saka all have good fixtures on paper, but does that mean that they're the right choice for your captaincy this week? Alf, who are you thinking for captain and why do you think they're a good choice?
Yes, so this is coming from someone who had Ollie Watkins at the start of the season, sold him before he started to haul, and I'm now rebuying him. I am thinking about going Watkins at this point. For me, I think Ollie Watkins at home versus Luton is just a little bit too tasty not to go on. He's playing really well. Aston Villa are playing really well. Luton aren't great. It's at home. So I think for all of those variables, I think it makes sense to go for Ollie Watkins. I'm 90% sure I'm going Ollie Watkins captain at this point.
So what's your other 10%? Where's the other 10% steering you towards?
I think Saka, Sheffield United at home, which we're going to that game. So we'll see how Saka gets on, right? Sheffield United, is he on pens? Is he not on pens? Who knows? But he's always doing really well at home. I think he would be a really good shout as well.
And Steve, what about you? You captained Salah this week to great effect. Are you thinking the same thing this week?
Right now, he is my captain. It's a bit of a toss-up. I'll see what happens. Liverpool have a game on Thursday night against Toulouse. Yeah, they play Thursday, Sunday. Sunday kick-off, 2 p.m. Should be enough time to recover for that game. But they are at home to Forest, so it looks attractive. But to my mind, yeah, I'll just wait and see what happens in that game, just in case anything happens to Salah. But right now, it's between Salah and Watkins. I can see it going either way. But right now, I'm erring towards Salah just because he is the Egyptian king. He's really saved my bacon since I brought him in a couple of weeks ago, and he's really helped me fly at the table. His returns are great at the moment. But like I said, I'll wait and see what happens on Thursday night and see how he gets on.
Jon, what about Tottenham star boy? Are you tempted by a Son captaincy this week?
Yeah, I think actually no. I don't actually have. I actually don't have Son. I got rid of him. Not sure why. Given that they played on Monday night and they're playing again on Friday, so it's a 3-day turnaround. Definitely carrying a bit of sort of international duty fatigue and an injury and management. I think it'd be subbed off. Crystal Palace defence is fantastic. Surely the Spurs run has to come to an end at some point. It feels like a lot of risks to be captaining Son. Even as a gleeful Spurs fan, I wouldn't be recommending Son as a FPL captain this game week. Probably going to go with one of those players that's playing at home, so not Haaland. It'll be Salah or Watkins for me.
I think I'm the same. I mean, I did sell Haaland a couple of weeks ago now, and I've been Haalandless ever since. Haaland is the only player out of these 5 who isn't performing up to his expected points on the Opta stats online. I think the stats that you can read into need to be taken with a bit of a pinch of salt, because we can all see that Haaland isn't quite up to his usual standard, whether that's a formation issue or whether that's maybe he's not feeling it this season. Salah, Watkins, Son and Saka are all overperforming on their expected points, but Haaland isn't. So something is definitely going wrong. Haaland, of course, has Man United away this weekend, which is a tough fixture, especially compared to the other captains that we're talking about here. So if his run of form continues, I just don't see him hauling like the others can do. So yeah, I mean,
arguably, it's not a very tough fixture.
I don't know, Steve.
It's not a very tough fixture. The defence will be Maguire and Varane. So if you don't own Salah or Watkins, then Haaland is a very fine choice for captain. I can't see United getting anything at all from that game. Fingers crossed for both FPL and United reasons that if it is a loss, it's only a very small one.
In terms of Watkins and Saka, Alf, a lot of Salah's goals have come from penalties in the last few games, and we know that Watkins and Saka are a bit iffy on the penalties these days. Does that worry you in terms of the captaincy, or are you just hoping their in-play goals make up for that loss of potential?
Watkins is just scoring hat-tricks. He's scoring like braces every other game week. I got him in originally because he was on pens and he's a cracking centre-forward, but that was one of the reasons why I got rid of him, because he was off pens and he wasn't scoring goals. So I do not see any issues with captaining Salah, captaining Saka, captaining Ollie Watkins at this point. I think those are the 3. I could get to Friday and choose Salah. Nottingham Forest at home is a very attractive fixture for Salah. I think about it one day and I'm like, I'm definitely going Watkins, and the next day I'm like, I have there's some FUD flying around. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
So that sounds like a good transition to talk about our planned transfers this week. We've got some big decisions to make. I have already made my decisions as of today. I couldn't help myself. I'm a busy man. I've got things to do. I have subbed out Mbumo for Bowen from West Ham for the game against Everton. I'm feeling fine with injuries and stuff. But Bowen's just a bit mad.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Don't West Ham have Europe this week?
Look, Bowen is a machine.
I hear the words that you're saying. Just is it you getting your phone out on after the game week and you're excited? I want to understand the psychology of it. Are you just like getting your phone out being like, oh yeah, I want to make that transfer, press confirm?
Yeah, it could be a bit of that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at my scores. I'm thinking I've killed it.
I'm Billy Bill with 111 points.
Yeah,
you go wrong.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's what I did, guys. I stand by it.
It.
Sometimes you got to have fun with this game, and I had fun. I'm excited for a Bowen haul, and that's what I'm doing. But Steve, I presume you haven't made your transfer yet, but what are your plans?
I haven't made my transfer, no. I've got 2 free transfers because I rolled last week, which makes me even happier, I guess, with those 101 points to have rolled and got that. My plan was to look closely at Son and Maddison and decide what to do with them. Their fixtures are beginning to turn around a little bit. Crystal Palace away is not super easy. There's some midfielders hanging around that I like the look of, and it could start to be either a route into Trippier or a route back to Haaland, and I just need to have a little bit more of a planning session. But I'm going to hang on to DRB just for this week. I feel like it's going to be one of those. I've had him for a few weeks. If I get rid of him, he'll do something against Luton. So I'm just going to hang on to my 3 villas. I'm not going to change that yet. I don't want to burn the transfer, so I might only make 1 transfer and roll the other one again, because I'm happy with the team. It looks really good on paper. I will be having a look at Son and Maddison, and I'll be having a think about what I do with those in particular. Like I did originally plan on taking them out, but one of those to a Palmer gives me, I've got 1.8 million in the bank, so one of those to a Palmer gives me a lot of cash in the bank, and then I can sort of spread that around other players or look for a route back to Haaland if I'm particularly worried about that.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll probably have to bench Bowen when he gets injured in Europe. Then you can
relax. Jon, in terms of your team, we didn't see you last week because you were under the weather, but you've made some big changes to your team since the last time we saw you. What's happened over there and what's happening for game week 10?
Yeah, wildcarded. Towards the end, I started thinking probably could have made it another game week without having to do it. My major pain was switching captain from Salah to Haaland. Also, probably staying on the Haaland train. I was quite an early proponent of going Haaland-less.
Yeah, you were chatting up a storm over no Haaland, and then you flip-flopped on us.
Yeah, I kind of thought so many people were doing it that it would maybe be differential, but it's actually not. I saw the stats from this week, 60% of people captained Haaland, let alone, I think it's 80% selected, so it still would have been differential to sell him. In which case I could have had Son. At one point in my wild card, I had Mudryk and Palmer in, who both scored. So, I don't know, you can't have them all, as we keep saying. I think the only player that I really don't know why I've got in was Odegaard. Definitely not the kind of imperious captain leading a title charge like he was last season. Roberts from Burnley got sent off, so he's suspended. So maybe I'll look for another player. Maybe Sergio Reguilon, because of his Spurs connection. But other than that, I'm kind of sticking with my team, really. Odegaard is in extreme jeopardy. So yeah, he could be the one to be moved out.
Alf, how about you? Have there been any changes in your team this week?
Look at that bloody team. I have 6 of the biggest and greatest FPL assets from this season in that team. I fit them in. I've got Areola in goal. Fantastic asset. Trippier. I have Tsimikas, who, sure, he's a little bit shaky. He may come on 55 minutes. But he's really cheap. He's away into Liverpool's defence. I'm really happy with that. Gabriel down to 4.7. Really happy I've got him back in my team against Sheffield United at home. I managed to keep cash. Luton at home. I was a bit surprised I could do that. Originally I had Ayla at Burnley, but I found some cash somewhere and got cash. Then in midfield, I have Son. I'm keeping hold of Son, centre forward, but midfield asset for FPL. So I think it's a bit of a no-brainer to keep him. I've got Saka, Sheffield United at home. Really excited to have him back in my team. Salah, Nottingham Forest at home. Palmer, the enabler. Oh, he's on pens for Chelsea. I'll play him. Something might happen. And also, he seems like he's nailed. So he might even get a couple of goals, some assists. We'll see what happens. But I'm really excited to have him in my team now. I wanted him for a while, so that's good. And then I managed to get in Watkins and Haaland as my centre forwards. As you can see, there is a lot to unpack here. I'm very excited to be going into the next 10 game weeks with this team. I don't think I need to make any subs for a while. Adingra is starting for Brighton. I've done my homework on that. He's playing 90 minutes for them at the moment. Also, Solly March is out, so he is pretty nailed for Brighton, and he's actually a really decent asset from an FPL standpoint. Archer nailed for Sheffield United. He can come in off my bench as well. I think he will get a couple of goals. And then Turner as well in goal. So, I'd love to get your guys' thoughts and feedback on it, but I'm really excited about this team. I really wanted to have those big 6. So Trippier, Son, Saka, Salah, Watkins, Haaland. I put those into my team and then everyone else just came in around them. That's my wildcard team at the moment. It might change a little bit before the deadline, but that's where I'm at.
It looks like an amazing team. In terms of fitting them all in mathematically, I'm not sure how you've done it. You've ended up with all 5 of the players that people are talking about captaining.
Palmer is Palmer being so cheap. Like I said, when I did my wild card, I had a similar team actually with Palmer in, just coming into the Chelsea side on pens. You know, he's kind of got all the opportunities, all the upside, the ceiling of a sort of £7 to £9 million player. I think we're saving £4 million to get Trippier in.
I'm excited to have him in, and I think that I will actually play him. You know, let's talk about Chelsea's fixtures, right? They are absolutely horrendous. Like, worst case scenario, I'm going to play Palmer for Brentford, and then I'll probably bench him for Dingra because Brighton's fixtures start getting good. So I feel like I'm really covered on this as well. But you never know, like something really bad's probably going to happen. We'll see. But right now I'm feeling pretty chuffed with myself, and I spent like 15 minutes before work today just trying to get all this in the team, and I managed to do it. So yeah, I'm excited.
If you haven't subscribed to Wildcard FPL yet, make sure you do, and you'll catch all of our egg-related content every week. There is a bit of football in there as well. In the last video, only 20% of the viewers were actually subscribers. So we know you're out there. We know you're watching the videos, but you're not clicking that button. So click that like button, click the subscribe button, and you can join us every week. In the meantime, if you have any comments about our teams or all of our captaincy choices, let us know in the comments below. As usual, you can catch us on Twitter with the handles that are floating around on screen. But we're looking forward to another weekend of Prem, and we will see you with points next week. Cheers.